Okay, when you're using your iPhone or your iPad, a lot of times you want to get in touch with somebody. You want to let them know that you're on the way to their house, when you might arrive, or when you're going to reach your destination, um, and several variations of that. So, what I want to do tonight is show you how some of these work. And first thing I'll do is switch over to share and get my phone up on the screen here. Good. Okay, the first thing we're going to talk about is a function of the phone called check-in. And what check-in does is let you know your friends that you have arrived at a certain destination. For example, say I was visiting my mom and dad and I was headed home, I can set it up where they will know when I've arrived at home and they can quit worrying about it. So now this does require iOS 17 or later for both the sender and the recipient. So let's see how this works. First thing I'm going to do is, let me get organized here. I'm going to open messages. I'll go to my messages here, and I'm going to select a person or start a new message. I'm going to go ahead and select Brookie here. And now what I'm doing, I want to do the check-in here. So in order to accomplish this, down here at the bottom, you can see this little plus sign. And so I'm going to tap on the plus sign. And once you tap on the plus sign, you get a bunch of different options of things that you can do. You can see here several of them, but I'm going to scroll down until I find where it says check-in. So I'm going to tap on check-in. And you notice I get this nice little box here that I'm about to send to Brookie. Now I need to check on it. And so what I can do here is edit it. And from here, I can do two different things. I can send them a message saying when I arrive or after a certain period of time, 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, and whichever one of those that you have checked, they will get a message that you have done that. So once I say done here, let's see, I'm going to use when I arrive, and I say done. So now I've got this all set, and it says I'm going to arrive at my home, which I'm already at, so it doesn't really function exactly right. But I'm going to send that to Brookie. And then as time goes by and I arrive at home, I will get a notification that yes, I've arrived. And Brookie will get a notification that I've arrived. I don't have to call her up and tell her anything. I don't have to chat with her or anything. It just says I've accomplished my goal. I arrived at my destination. So that's the first item. Also, if you want to, you can go in here and check on these things. If you wanted to tap on the details, you can do that and hit cancel the check-in if you wanted to, or make some other changes here. So take a look at that. And after I finish this session, I'll put this handout into the chat room where everybody can download it. So anyway, that's real handy. To let people know when you're reaching your destination. Another thing is, let me close this out, is one thing I really like to do is when I'm going to visit somebody, maybe a couple hours away, I can send them a message that says ETA, estimated time of arrival. And when I do that, they will get a map that shows where I am on the road. Kind of neat. In order to do this, you have to use the Apple Maps. And I'm going to go here to Apple Maps. and enter my destination. Let's see, let me kill that one first. Maps. And in that route, I'm going to put in that I'm going to go to Kentucky National Guard, and I'll tap on the 48 minutes. And there I've got my directions. And now I'm going to say go. Once I've got go set up, you notice down here at the bottom, it says share ETA. And then I can pick out who I want to share it with. And in this case, I'll just share it with Brookie. And then when I start driving, Brookie will have a indicator come up on her phone saying, accepting that she wants to share my ETA, and then she will be able to see where I am along the route. Pretty handy tool. And incidentally, this works very well if you got CarPlay. Great for letting loved ones know when you're en route or running late. They can see right where you are. So that's that one. Any questions on that one? Okay, the third example I want to give you, let me kill this, is share my location. And in order to do this, I'm going to go to my messages. And again, I'm going to still use Brookie as my contact. Once I get it, open her location, her app, then I'll go in and tap where it says info right here, information, and tap on that. And then as I go scroll down here, keep on scrolling, keep on scrolling. And here it says, share my location. Once I tap on that, I get the option, it can be for an hour or for a day or the end of the day or indefinitely. So if you're on a trip, for example, going, maybe you got 2 or 3 cars going somewhere, you can coordinate that. If you just want it for a little bit, you can, or if it's somebody you want to keep up with all the time, you can do that. So I'm going to put in here for 1 hour. And now, okay. So we've got that done. She got that. Now I want to show you how to check on that. And there's an app, many of you have used it, I'm sure, but it's called Find My. And in Find My, you can set, if you've got in my case, I've got an iPhone and an iPad, and I usually lose one of them, but I can go to the Find My app and locate where it is. And you can do the same thing with people. So I'm going to go here and go to the Find My app. And it looks like this little green circle here. And I'm going to tap on that. And you notice now I'm keeping, got Tim Brooks and I've got Brookie Thomas. So she can see where I am, wherever I go. And in this case, I set it for 1 hour. So at the end of that 1 hour, it turns off. So anyway, there's 3 different ways of keeping in touch with people, letting them know where you are, when you're going to arrive, and so forth. And as soon as I get done here, I will put these in the chat. Questions? Some of this you just need to try out, and you'll see it's actually pretty easy. It's easier to do than it is to explain.
And I might add that when he did that, what I got was saying that Joe was sharing his location with me and asked me if I wanted to share my location with him. So the recipient gets that option to do that as well.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing.
Any questions for Joe before we move on to Kurt? Okay, he's going to put his handout in the chat. And go ahead, Kurt.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit about ad blockers. How many of you use an ad blocker on your computer or your iPad or your iPhone? Does anybody? Okay, well, exit stage left. No, they're
That's good.
I have used them for years because I don't need to see any more ads. I remember when I was a tiny child watching Bonanza, and those were the very first ads as a little kid I saw, and it's like, I don't need any more. So I'm going to share my desktop with you. Can you see my desktop at all?
Yes.
Okay, here's an example of what I'm talking about. I found this on the internet, of course. Uh, this is what the New York Times front page looked like in 1996. This is what it looked like by 2017 when most people had broadband, which is always on, fast internet. And so they could put a lot more ads in. This whole top rail up here, it's a video, it's an ad, there's an ad there, there's an ad there. There's nothing wrong with this. They've got to have ads to survive. But I think it's not just the New York Times, the Washington Post, and it's not just newspapers. It's a lot of websites have a lot of ads. And if you see a lot of ads and you don't run an ad blocker of any type, they're tracking you. And here I looked up using DuckDuckGo's artificial intelligence uh, uh, module on their website. I use them as my default search engine up here in all my browsers. And it says trackers. I almost thought that said truckers, but it says trackers. They're small pieces of software embedded in websites that collect data about your online activity, such as the pages you visit and the links you click. Sometimes it can be one little pixel and a website that follows you. They're targeting you for advertising. And then there's nobody involved. It's all computer driven. It's AI. They are creating profiles of you on the pages that you visit, which I have a problem with that. I just think there's no control. I think it's kind of out of control. Let me go to the Washington Post real quick to show you what it looks like with an ad tracker installed on the computer. And I realize they rely on ads. Can you see this? Do you see it?
Yes.
Okay, let me make it larger because I know it's hard to. There are no ads. Between sections on here, if you're not running an ad blocker on this newspaper or most others, you'll see all kinds of ads, great big ads, small ads, uh, banner ads. Some of them have videos ready to run, that kind of stuff. But anyway, that's an example of what an ad blocker does. It cleans this up so they can't track me. If I go over here, this is the handout that I put in in the chat room on Zoom, so you should be able to find it there. And this is what it looks like. This is the little attachment that you should see in there that you can download from Zoom. Shows you happens to be an iMac. It shows you this is kind of a drawing that was online. Shows you what the computer looks like without an ad blocker, and it shows you what it looks like when it's cleaned up. Well, I put together a bunch of links. It tells you what ad blockers should do. They should block what I mentioned before, ads, and more ads. They should block all this stuff. One of the problems with ads is that they're using your bandwidth. We all have a certain amount, when we have a connection to the internet, we're given so much time and space that we can use to view the web, to get email, to chat, that kind of thing. Well, you're using a whole lot of internet bandwidth to look at these ads. And we don't realize it because we scroll down and there's an ad here, there's an ad, but it's using up your entire bandwidth for these ads. Some of the better ad blockers include what's called AdGuard, which I use, AdBlock Plus, uBlock Origin, and GhostRead. These are just 4. There are many others. There are free versions of these, either in the Mac App Store or the
Hey,
App Store for
Kurt,
iPhone.
let me interrupt you. Can you make that a little bit bigger? Much better.
Okay. There are a lot more than these, but you can go to your App Store on the Mac or on your iPhone or your iPad and type in ad blocker. It's sometimes one word, it's sometimes 2 words, but type that in and see what you find, and you'll see a lot of ad blockers. Here are some links that I'm putting in this for you to read. PC Mag's list of the best ad blockers, how to block ads on a Mac using Safari, Chrome, and Firefox, how to block ads on Opera, how to block ads on iOS, system-wide, your entire phone, or just when you're using Safari, for example. Here's a YouTube link in there about blocking ads, and here's some others. I put in a lot of links because I want you to be able to, pros and cons. Some of these people that put these ads in there, they're not real ads. They will lead you to malicious websites, and they're hoping that you'll go there so that you'll download some what I call crud. The downside, the people that are providing the pages rely on advertising revenue to keep running, and you won't be seeing their ads, so they're not getting paid. Ad blocking has become a routine part of the internet. Over 900 million people actively blocking ads. Mobile ad blocking on your phone, on your iPad leads the way now. Out of nearly 1 billion ad blocker users worldwide, 54% are blocking on mobile, and about 46% are blocking on desktops. And in 2022, the FBI put out a statement recommending people to use ad blockers because, once again, criminals were putting out bogus ads in search results. So I would do a search with Google or Yahoo or DuckDuckGo or Bing or another search tool, and there'd be ads on the page if I wasn't using an ad blocker, and they're bogus. And you might accidentally click on that ad and lead you to this, this crud. Another option is to switch to DuckDuckGo, which I'm using more and more. DuckDuckGo, the browser. It's made for Mac, Windows, iPad, and iPhone. The negative part about DuckDuckGo, if there is a negative part, is that you can't use what are called extensions with them. And I use some extensions, and the extensions I use, for example, in Firefox, are ad blockers with a couple of others to prevent ads. But that's the only downside I found from DuckDuckGo, the browser itself. And another option, like the Weather Channel, I think it's a great website, but it's loaded with ads. Another option you might want to check out is weather.org instead of weather.com, because there aren't any ads on there. Plus, if you're running an ad blocker, there definitely aren't any ads. Before we leave, real quickly, I want to show you something else. I run a system-wide ad blocker called AdGuard. I run it on everything I have, and I really like it. You won't be able to see this because it's so tiny, but on the Mac, it puts a little icon up here in the menu bar, and I know you can't see this.
We can
I've been
see
using it on, can you see it? Can you actually read this?
I can.
I must need new glasses. I've been using this on this Mac since April 20th of 2023, AdGuard, and I pay for it. There's a free version for Safari that I run also, but I pay for this $5 a year because I believe it's worth it. They claim this one piece of software on this machine claims to have blocked more than 674,000 ads on websites. and tracked 754,000 trackers, blocked them. And 2 threats, which are viruses or spyware, and 83.97 gigabytes it tried to infect with CRUD. So that's how AdGuard works. You can turn it on right here, turn it off, click on a gear at the top, and it tells you about settings. You can, most of these, you can go to like an app store. On here, it's the Mac App Store. You go there, and in the search box up here, I'm just going to type ad blocker. And AdBlock for Safari, AdGuard for Safari, AdBlock Pro for Safari, blah, 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 goes down, all kinds of ad blockers in there. I mean, there are a bunch of them because people are fed up with ads, to be honest with you. But that's one way to do it. If you're using primarily Safari, for example, the way to get an extension installed, an ad blocker in here, is to go up and click on Safari, up on your menu bar, come down to Safari extensions. That opens up the Mac App Store. And these are all Safari extensions for different things. And you search up here like ad block or ad blocker. And there we go. Same thing we just saw. These are ad blockers for Safari. There are similar ways, and then you download it, and then you can turn it on by opening up Safari, going to your settings, going to extensions at the top. I know this is all in the handout that I've got. Let me move Zoom real quickly. Up here, I've clicked on extensions, and then what I've got turned on here will block. And I've got privacy desktop, privacy protection turned on for DuckDuckGo. I've got something called Wiper turned on. Ad Blocker Pro is turned on, control panel. So that's basically how you install on Safari ad block extensions. But they really do make a difference. If you read the handout, if you decide you want to use one on your iPad, on your iPhone, on the Mac, on your Windows machine, find one and use it. And I use, like I said, a system-wide one called AdGuard because it really does automatically block stuff on your machine. You don't have to deal with all the stuff out there that's, invasive. And that's it. Anybody have any questions? A lot of them are.
How
Go
many
ahead.
people are going to do it?
A lot of them are free,
Mhm.
and compare if they're free. Look at what they provide versus the paid version of what you get if you buy one. I went ahead and bought AdGuard for $5 a year because I thought, heck, for $5 a year, it's definitely worth it to block all this gunk. But most people don't realize they're being tracked from one web page to another, and often there's a little tiny one little dot, one little pixel on that website that is tracking you, and then they're creating a profile on you. So somewhere, one of the big tech companies, whatever it is, they've got a profile on you somewhere that, oh, you love dogs and you've been to Brazil and all this stuff, anyway, that's it.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I think
just
we all.
one thing.
Go ahead.
Okay. You asked who's already using an ad blocker, and I was unfortunately still muted when I said I am, so you didn't hear it. But I use Ghostery, and the
Okay.
reason I chose it is because the developers are in Europe, and European privacy laws have got a lot more teeth than they do here in the US. So if it's going to enforce things like the EU's GPRS legislation, then I think that's going to be a more effective and capable way of safeguarding your privacy, not necessarily just blocking ads, but it will stop trackers more effectively too, in my opinion.
Bill, I think, is right there that there's been a major sea change in the US in the last few years in terms of privacy, in terms of tracking by companies based here. That's why, for example, when I look, this is a different subject, but it's still about security, which Phil's going to be teaching that cyber security class. When we talk about security, one of the things that always comes up are VPNs, V as in Victor, virtual private networks, which basically, if you have one, and I think Brookie's going to get one, or already has, it puts your internet signal in a tunnel so that nobody can access your internet. They can't see what you're doing, whatever. You're private. Well, I choose one that's not based in, they call it, I think it's now up to 19 eyes, where they can technically, if it's based in the US, if you choose one that's based in New York or whatever, Florida, they can, because of the 18 or 19 eyes, you give them permission to go ahead and log what you do. Well, I don't think that's right. That's why I have a VPN. I want to be able to not be logged, to have somebody create a profile on me. So I choose one that's not based either in the US, Europe, or Australia, or New Zealand. And that's just me. So anyway, thanks everybody.
So where is it based?
It's based down in the Bahamas. So, and they don't, I mean, they go through every year, they go through testing that shows they don't keep logs, they don't track people, they don't give information to anybody because they don't have it. And it's just private. And that's personally how I think the internet should be, instead of creating all these profiles on people. But it's not private anymore, and people don't realize that. Thank you.
All right. Okay. All right, then we will go on to my presentation, and my presentation is on using markup tools and the draw tools. So I'm going to show you where they are, a little bit about them, and I'm going to actually show it on the Notes app. So I'm going to go ahead and connect my iPad here. Okay, are you all seeing it?
Got it.
Okay, great. Okay, so with the markup tools, they have really increased their availability. So you can use them in notes, and you can also use them on your photos, but they're also available in email, in the Apple email. So I'm just going to demonstrate on the notes, but you can translate it to those other apps. But if you're interested in doing them on the email, then you'll actually see the icon that I'm going to show you in a minute for the notes, the markups. And then also when you're in the photo app and you want to mark up a photo, then what you do is you go to the editing tool, tap on that, and your markup tools will pop up. Okay, so we're going to start with notes. So here's the app I'm using. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open it, and it took me to the last note that I made, and actually this was me playing with the markup tools. All right, but we're going to go ahead. If you're following with me with your iPad, you can actually follow with me on your iPhone as well. I have my iPad in a horizontal landscape orientation. If you have yours in the vertical or the portrait, then the tools are going to look a little bit different. So, but you can follow along, and I have already put the handout in chat. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go over here to this icon, and I'm just going to start a new note. Okay, and then I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to get rid of this side panel, and I'm going to tap right here so it's all clear. It's a clear area. this icon is the icon for your markup tools. And when you tap that, this is what happens. Your tools come down here to the bottom of your page. And this is where you're going to do the drawing. This moves if you want to move it, and you can just drag it with your finger. And when you do, you can move it to the side. You can move it to the top to get it out of your way. You can move it back down to the bottom. So it moves very easily. I'm going to go ahead and just actually put a mark here, because what I want to show you are these arrows that only show up if something is there. Okay, so this is the undo, and we're going to undo that mark by tapping it. And then if I want to put that mark back, I hit redo. Okay, and so those are just two key tools that you need with this. So you can undo what you've done and you can redo it. So quickly, I'm going to tell you what these things are, and then I'm going to go back and show you a little bit more about them. Okay, this first one is if you have an Apple Pen. This is the tool that you would use, and there is supposedly a lot of things you can do with an Apple Pen with just pressure and angle. I don't have one, so we're going to skip that. But if you have one, you can experiment with it on a note. This tool right here is a pen. All right. And the next one is called a monoline. And when I show you those, demonstrate those, I'll show you what the difference is. But that's a monoline. This is a marker. Then we have an eraser here. You have a lasso here. You have a ruler. And then if you move with your finger, if you pull the pad over, it shows a few more of the markers. Okay, so we were looking at the ruler, but hidden behind that is the pencil. That's a pencil. That's a crayon. This is an ink pen, and this is watercolor. Okay, so you've got lots of different instruments that you can play with. And then you have all these colors. They'll have black, blue, the green, the yellow, red, and then this is more colors. So if you tap more colors, then you get all of these. Okay, and you can see them in this grid format or spectrum or slider. All right, so different ways to get different colors for different pens. All right, and in this screen, you do have the opacity as well, but you do have that same feature in each of the different tools that you have. Okay, so to get rid of that, you're just going to go back down here and you're going to tap that and it goes back down. Okay, we will get to the plus and the more after I've told you about these other tools. Okay, so here we're going to go with the pen. And if you tap it, you'll notice that it's going to pop up a little bit here. And you know that that is the tool that you're going to be using. All right, the pen. And if I then touch it gently, I get to customize it. I can make it very thick. I can make it very thin. And then I can also here change the opacity to be very solid and then to be more faint. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make it maybe kind of a medium one, and then I'm going to draw some things here. Actually, I'm going to erase that because I want to show you kind of the difference here. I'm going to go to a little bit thicker. And then I'm going to draw because I want to show you the difference between the monoline and the pen. So the pen, depending on how much pressure you use or how much of your finger you're using here, it will change the width. So see here it's kind of thick. Here it's much thinner. Okay, that's what the pen does. It allows you to make it thicker by just drawing it. If you go to the monoline, that one will make a line that is the same thickness no matter how many curves you do. Okay, so I'll go ahead and I'll pick that one, and we'll go ahead, we'll do the strongest one, and then I will draw again some other stuff. Okay, so you notice there is no thickness. The thickness is consistent. Okay, you can't make it do what the pen does. And the pen, you can have a little bit more thickness than this. All right, so those are those two tools. Then you have the marker, and it's the same thing with the marker, that if you put a little pressure on it, you can change the thickness of it and you can change the opacity. So if I pick that one, I'm going to make it a little bit fainter. Then I can go in here and just use my finger and color. Okay, or I can make a line. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and keep going here to the other tools. There's the pencil. So if I want to put some writing here, okay, so it looks, you can see that it looks like graphite, looks like a pencil. The next one is crayon, and crayon, you can make it very thin, very thick, also the opacity. And so I'm going to go ahead and just color in here with the crayon. So you can kind of see what the crayon looks like. And then you have the fountain pen. Okay, and this is kind of nice. I'm using right now, I will use this stylus. It's just a very cheap stylus, but it makes it easier when you're drawing or writing with the fountain pen. So okay, so it makes it really legible, a little bit easier than with your finger. All right, but you can do it with your finger. It will still work with your finger. All right. So the last one is watercolor, and it also has the customization that you can do. If I want to change the color here on all of those, when I select it, I can go over here and tap on the color here, and it will change whatever tool I have selected. So here's the watercolor. I'm going to make it really kind of strong, and then I can fill in here. There's the watercolor. Let's say I want to make it lighter blue, then I can fill in here. Okay, so that's the watercolor. The other tools that you have here are the eraser, and the eraser has two different types of erasers. One is the pixel eraser, and it will just erase some pixels. All right, so I'm going to choose that one. And let's say I just want to take off this area right here. I just want to take a little bit of this tail off. Then I just put my finger on there, and it just takes out as much as I've touched. All right. But let's say I really want to get the object totally gone. An object is one stroke, okay? And you notice that I did the black pen stroke, okay? Let me see if I can touch it and if it will disappear. Okay. All right, it's gone. It took all of it, you know, the whole stroke gone. Okay. And then I can put it back if I want to. All right. So that's the eraser. You can erase some pixels, or you can erase the whole stroke that you've made. And then the lasso. The lasso lets you move things, and in fact, it has a lot more tools behind it, but we don't have time tonight to get into them. But the kind of the interesting part is that you can just circle something. I'm circling art here, and then I can take it and I can move it anywhere I want it. All right, so you can lasso it and then just move it. And then you have the ruler. So if you're maybe drawing a diagram of a room, or you just need some straight lines, here is your ruler. You can use 2 fingers, and you can make it wherever you want it. And then you can draw the line. So I'm going to use the marker, and then I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to just go down the edge of it, and it makes the line. Okay, so wherever you want that line, and then we can just touch the tool down here, and then it can go away. So that is the ruler. Okay, so those are kind of your markup tools, but then you have here additional things. And I'm going to show you a little bit about those. All right. One is you can add a sticker, and that we've had a class on how to make stickers. And so I have lots of stickers, so I'm going to just tap on that. Brings up all my stickers. I'm going to bring up this horse. Okay, it brought up the sticker. I can take this horse with 2 fingers, kind of bring it down here, and you'll see little handles here. See this little handle? Okay, all 4 corners have it, but I'm going to drag it because I want that horse to be smaller. Keep dragging it. So I can put it anywhere on my picture. All right, so that's adding stickers. And then you can also add text. So if you want it to not be handwritten, but you want a text, you'll just tap that, add text. It's right here in the middle of my screen here. All right, I'm going to kind of move it up here so you can see it a little bit better. And if I double tap it, then it's highlighted, and I can just start typing. It brings up my keyboard, and I can just start typing. And you can change the size of it, you can change the color of it, and then you can also move it. Okay, but I've got another tool up. If you have a hard time moving it after you've done it, then you can lasso it and move it. Okay. So that is text. You actually can do signature. I'm not going to show that one, but you can do that, and then it's very easy. You just, you know, write your signature, and then once you've done that, then you can add it to any of your notes. And then also there are shapes, so you can add a shape. We'll add an arrow, and with this arrow, you've got handles here that you can then move it. So if I want to say, I want to put it over here, I'll just hold it here, and you can just move it around. Okay. So those are all the tools. And let's say you want to keep this really, you know, great work of art, then what you can do is you can go ahead and get rid of the tools up here. We're going to tap those. And then we're going to take our finger and just kind of pull down. I still have one of the things. Okay. I'm just going to pull down. And when I pull it down, I have the option here that I can name this note. All right. So I'm going to hit edit and I'm just going to type in horse. Okay. That will now become the title of it. I'll hit done. When I get over here to all of my documents, all my notes, it's right there under notes. So I can find it. And then if I decide that I really don't need to keep it, I can come here to the more button, tap it, and then I can go down here to delete and delete it. And it's gone. Okay. All right. Any questions?
Thank
I
you.
will go ahead and hit stop share. All right. So you've now learned how to keep in contact with people and how to block ads and now how to use the markup tools. Do we have any questions?
Thank
No.
you.
So before we go on, let's talk about next month. Joe, what are you doing next month?
I have no idea. I'm
I
gonna have
thought
to,
you
I wrote it down, but I'll have to go look at it. You go ahead.
Joe, I read it and I don't remember.
Oh, what I'm doing is, I was recently over in Italy and sat down at a restaurant and they gave me a menu in a language I had not a clue what it said. But I took my phone out, took a picture, tapped a couple buttons, and it translated it into English. That's pretty neat. Another thing you can do if you have find a sign that you want some information from, it could be in a museum, some information about a painting. You can take a picture of that and then capture the text from there and then put it wherever you want. And another thing in your phone, if you have whatever language, you can switch it over to English. Oh, and one other thing, on the side of your phone, um, in the olden days, there was a little switch over here that you could flip and it would put your phone on silent. Well, with the current phones, it's a push button where you can do a bunch of different things depending on how you customize it. And we'll show you how to do that, where you can make it be the camera, the flashlight, silent mode, etc. Anyway, we'll do a demo on that.
Okay, and and you're kind of covering iPhone and iPad because I'm not going to be here in September. I'm going to
Yes.
be in Croatia. So I'll be thinking about you. But Joe asked me, he said, we're Zooming. I could join you from Croatia, but I think I'm going to pass. Kurt, what are you doing next month?
We're going to talk about antiviruses for the Mac. Do you need them? What are some of the best ones? Why would you use them? What prompted this was for years I've used an antivirus. There's some free ones, and Windows viruses don't impact the Mac at all, but it caught a Mac virus for the first time. So I was on some website, or actually was in my email that somebody had sent me a virus with an attached document, which I never open attachments unless I verify them. But yeah, so and the popularity of the Mac is growing quite a bit. So there are more antiviruses that these bad guys and women are creating. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I'd be happy to send you a custom feed to Croatia if you like at 4 in the morning when you're sleeping while we're doing this, if you want.
Oh,
But
well,
anyway,
that's very nice of you. I'll pass though. Thank you.
oh, okay.
Okay, so that's what we have on tap next month. Any comments? Anything else that you want to share?
Don't forget to
Okay.
look in the chat before you close down. If you want to get copies of anything that we've talked about, you can download it from there.
Okay, and if you have problems with that, I will try to download them as well. I haven't downloaded them myself. And you can send me a note, president@ckcs.org, and ask for them, and I can send them to you. I know some of you might be on your iPad and have difficulty downloading them. So yeah, just drop me a note and I'll get to it.